Hello and welcome to another Football Manager 2015 video. As you can probably guess from what you're seeing in front of you, today's video is going to be on managerial styles. I was going to get round to doing this and I have rushed it to the top of the queue because I got a question about it on one of my other videos, so I bumped it to the top of the queue and thought I'd get it out of the way. It's one of the new features in Football Manager 2015. It hasn't actually been seen before to this extent in any of the previous games. As you can probably tell if you've played any of the past Football Managers, this is not entirely new. This used to be in the previous games, but they've expanded it all quite a bit anyway. So where do we start? Well, I'll start by going over these. These are pretty straightforward. These essentially have always acted as the difficulty level in Football Manager. So in previous games at the start you would have to pick your past experience, and the less experience you had, the harder the game would be when you started. So that is still kind of how it works, but there's a little bit more to it this time round. As you can see, if I change my past experience, it reduces the amount of points I have to spend on various attributes. Likewise, now you can also choose a coaching badge for yourself. In past Football Managers for the last couple of years they have had coaching badges for other staff but not for you. This year they've introduced it, and what it does is the same thing as past playing experience. It just dictates the amount of points you have to spend on things. Like with that, the higher the coaching thing is that you've got, coaching badge, the higher the coaching badges that you've got, the easier the game will be. And you can probably see as well, underneath you can do suggest badge based on, well, it says Liverpool because that's the team I've chosen, but it basically selects which one is the most appropriate kind of level for the team you're managing. Because like if you're managing Liverpool and you choose Sunday League footballer, then you are going to go in there and the players are not going to care, they're not going to respond to you or anything like that. Because if you can imagine, in real life Steven Gerrard is not going to give a toss about his manager if his manager is only a Sunday League footballer. I mean, that's ridiculous. So there's that. And yeah, you can see that it just selects the highest ones for Liverpool, but you get the idea there. That stuff I think is all fairly straightforward. It just alters the amount of points you have. Where it gets interesting is this little slider here. This basically it slides points over from one side to the other depending on where you put the slider. So you can either be more of a tactical manager by having the slider on this side, or if you move it over to the left you can be more of a tracksuit manager. But what does this all mean? Well, essentially it just depends where you want to whack your points. It's just a way of dividing points between different attributes. It means that you can't just have 20 on every single thing, which is good, but as you will see in a minute, it can be exploited a little bit. So the first thing to get stuck into here is to know what all the individual attributes do before you can allocate points to them. As it's probably self-explanatory here, but coaching attributes are the attributes that affect your ability to coach. So if you've watched my coaching video and you know how coaching works, you'll know that there's a screen where you can allocate your coaches to different training areas, and then it gives you a star rating for how their ability to coach that specific area is. These attributes affect how your own character, how many stars they have in those categories. So if you plough a load of points into attacking, for example, then attacking coaching areas will have more stars. It only affects it by, I think it's up to the maximum of a star. So I wouldn't panic about it. You know, if you don't have the maximum 20, it's not going to ruin your game or anything like that. I wouldn't worry that much about it. But that is what all of these do. It's pretty self-explanatory. You get better for coaching the individual areas in game. If you don't know what I'm referring to, by the way, when I'm talking about coaching and stars and everything, then go watch my coaching video and all will become clear. But anyway, the only one that's maybe a tad bit different is working with youngsters, because it's not quite the same as all the other categories. It affects your ability to work with younger players, but you know, the idea is still the same. It's all to do with how well you coach each area. Now, where it gets a little bit different is on the tactical manager side of things. So the top one, adaptability. That affects how adaptable you are, which I believe in this game translates to how likely you are to get jobs in foreign leagues. Personally, I don't think this has that much of a bearing on it, because I've had my adaptabilities reasonably low and I've still had no problem switching between leagues, but I believe that is the main purpose of your adaptability stat. Determination affects how well you do when making board requests and the like, so the higher your determination, the more likely you are to succeed with the board. Now, player knowledge and youngster knowledge are probably, in my opinion, the least useful of all these stats on this side. Player knowledge and youngster knowledge basically affect your default knowledge at the start of the game of players. So if you have a higher player knowledge, you are going to know more players right at the start of the game, and likewise with youngster knowledge. Are those that important? Personally, I don't think so, but I will explain why after I've gone through the rest of these stats. Okay, so level of discipline. That's to do with how players approach you when they've got issues and things like that. I think the higher it is and the stricter you are, the less likely they are to approach you with problems. Man management is how you handle players when you're speaking to them, how they're going to respond to you when you're speaking to them. And motivating is things like team talks, which personally I think is quite important, but again, all shall be explained in a moment. So, now that we know what they all do, how should we allocate them? Well, first I will show you how you can allocate them if you want to try and get the absolute most out of your manager. This isn't necessarily how I do it when I start a new game, but this is how you could do it to make the most. Let's say we get this over here. You can take maybe fitness down. You're just looking through these stats and looking at what's important. Are goalkeepers, coaching goalkeepers important? No, for two reasons. One, you're going to have dedicated goalkeeping coaches, especially if you're at bigger clubs. And two, you're not going to coach very many goalkeepers over your career. So, fuck them. That's what I say. Anyway, you can take those points and just whack up your other stats. So we've got a fair few. We've got those stats boosted there. Actually, I've just realised I hadn't. Sorry about that. I realised I hadn't got the full past playing experience. Anyway, let's start again. Let's reduce the stats for fitness and goalkeepers, because they're the least useful in my opinion, and whap up the more useful ones. So you're like a super coach. On this side, let's take down player knowledge and youngster knowledge, because if you're at a bigger club, you're going to have like loads of scouts. You're going to have the money to buy more scouts, and you're going to have good scouts. So you're going to find players, whether you have good knowledge or not. So let's reduce that. Maybe whap up determination, because you know, if you're anything like me, you'll be running to the board for more money. Motivating I think is important, because team talks can help you turn around games that you're losing. They can help you get a good start in other games, and for that reason I'd choose that. Man management I do think is quite important, because unlike previous football managers, if you lose the dressing room on this game, it can actually have quite a negative impact on your team. Adaptability I'm reasonably happy to put lower. It's never really affected my game, I don't worry too much about it. But how about something like that is really going to make the perfect manager. With regards to this one here, working with youngsters, depending on how you want to do it, you can take a couple off and put some more here or whatever. But this is more or less the kind of manager that is going to get the best in every regard. Is this how I would do it when I do my own games? As I've said before, no, it's not. I'll give you a look at the kind of manager I would probably do in my game. The reason I wouldn't want to do it like that is because it makes the game too easy. I like it to be a little more realistic. I'd probably have something like this. I'd maybe take fitness and goalkeepers down. I'd put up attacking because my teams tend to be very attacking teams, technical teams. As you can see, by the way, or as you've probably guessed, I don't do a whole lot of lower league management. I usually stick to my favourite teams, and I'm a real life Liverpool supporter, so that's the team I usually pick. So with that regard, I like to be an attacking, technical team. I like to bring through youngsters as well. That's one of my favourite things to do in the game. I'd probably take down adaptability, maybe take down man management, put a couple up on that, a couple up on youngster knowledge, and maybe determination. That is probably a closer look to what I would go for if I was starting a new game. I'd probably have goalkeepers down to 1, because like that's what every manager in the game basically has anyway, unless they're a specific goalkeeping coach. Yeah, so I'd probably have something along these lines. But that's just me. You can strive to have the best manager possible if you want, but I personally wouldn't. Now, I'm not really a big fan of all this malarkey. Mainly because other managers in the game, they usually start out with quite poor stats, and their stats improve over time. Yours do not. So like, I'm going into my first job when I start this game, and my stats are amazing. That's not how it happens for other coaches in the game, the AI coaches. I'd quite like it if we were a bit more like them, and say I was coaching Liverpool for 2 years and I played very good attacking football, then it would be cool if my attacking attribute would go up. Or say I kept doing well in different leagues, then my adaptability would go up. Or, you know, stuff like that. Or if I was good at turning games around, then maybe determination would go up, or, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, it is what it is. I suppose there has to be a way of dictating how hard the game is, but to my knowledge your stats don't increase mid-game. These are what you are stuck with. But yeah, that's that. Anyway, I hope this has been a nice little look at what all of these stats do and how they affect your game. As always, feel free to comment, say whatever the hell you want. Please subscribe, I always like more subscribers. There'll be another couple of videos coming soon. One of them is probably going to be a tactics video looking at controlling the game and a kind of control attacking kind of tactic, and the other video will probably be a general hints and tips video, because I've put together a little list of just general advice that doesn't really fit into any other video. So I'm going to put all them together in a video. It should be a cracker. But until then anyway, I will see you around.